Hi, my name is Anthony Snow, and I'll be talking about the Chrysler Hemi engine, how it's changed over time, and the horsepower that they put into these cars. And a question that I have for you guys is: do you ever think about the max that you can take your car to, and the engine that's inside your car? A quote that I like by Walter Chrysler, who invented the Hemi, is: "I like to build things, and I like to do things." I think this is a very good quote, and from a person who didn't care about what the competition said, and he went beyond what was possible, and which made him banned from multiple things, but he broke records. uh, I think that people should know about their engines more, just because if you go to a mechanic and they tell you something's wrong with your car that really isn't, and you get charged for something or just anything like that. When I was a kid, I used to watch these commercials that showed all the muscle cars or the BMWs themselves with the turbos, and how they put these big engines into these tiny cars, and just mechanics behind it is just impressive. I'll be talking to you guys about three things: the beginning and the change with the horsepower that they pack into these cars, and how it's developed over time. I'll begin with how it's changed for the better, uh, and how it began. Uh, so, Hemi actually got its name from a hemispherical combustion chamber. It's how they got the name for the Hemi. Is just a shorter version. It's a dome cylinder head that makes for more heat, and that heat turns into power, which adds more horsepower onto these cars. And there was different variants that came out for these cars, such as the 5.7 liter, the 6.1 liter, which is the SRT8, and along with the 6.4 liter. These are the street race technologies, basically, which is more horsepower. Basically, the higher you go up with the liters, because they use more gas. And the 6.2 liter supercharge, which has two turbos and is called the Hellcat, which I'll get into later. There's three different types. The first one that came out in the 1950s was the Chrysler Fire Power engine. And then came the second generation and third generation. The idea for the Hemi engine was Chrysler basically put their military experience and combined it with making a V8 engine. When they saw Ford make their V8 engines and it didn't have enough horsepower, basically, in the war, they basically added more torque, so it can get the job done. And I'll start by talking with the different engines and how they've went up. Basically, starting with the 5.7 liter V8, which is the RT, race and track is what that stands for. And it produces up to 350 horsepower, which is a good amount for just a basic level of a car. It has 375 pounds feet of torque, which is a lot. You can carry a lot with these cars, such as the Dodge Ram trucks have the V8 engines if you choose those ones. And then there's the SRT8s, which are basically meant for racing. These cars have up to 485 horsepower with 470 pounds of torque, which is basically what makes if you have a rear wheel drive car, this torque is all on your back wheels, so that makes the car just instantly start, like just go straight off the line. And then there's the Hellcat, which is a 6.2 liter supercharged and can produce 707 horsepower. and this car has basically done 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, which is ridiculous. I would not drive it on the road just because of gas. This thing takes a lot of gas, and it's very expensive. Um, I'll talk about why the Hemi is good for racing, which is the combustion chamber allows for more heat and in return gives the car more power. And it burns the fuel hotter, and so that makes it better, basically. The bigger valves means improved airflow through the engine. Um, the Hemi engine has evolved over time and keeps getting better with the same creative thinking since the 1950s. The horsepower improvement over time, it was down to where towards 200 horsepower, and now we're up to 353 just in the base model itself. These cars have actually been banned from NASCAR and the NHRA. It was banned from NASCAR back in 1956 when they put the Hemi, the 426 Hemi, on the track, and it drove all competition out of the way. There was no competing with it, so NASCAR banned it. And last year in 2018 is when the Dodge Demon came out, which is an 840 horsepower car, and the NHRA banned that car from competition because it's the world's fastest production car right now, which does 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds, which basically pops a wheelie from the starting line. So your front hood goes all the way up in the air and then comes back down, and then you take off. I think these innovations keep things coming. Keeps the buyers coming, I would say, for the next car, such as going from the RT to new variants of the SRT8s. It keeps buyers waiting for the next variant of these cars just because they are super quick, and it's a packed muscle car, and they are very popular among the younger community for sure, and the older community, such as above 50 is usually when people get the Hellcats just because of how expensive they are. Is what Chrysler said to me when I had talked to them over the phone. When you think of your car, just think about how much time it took someone to make up that engine or to evolve it to where we are today to keep you safe on the road. So there's no misfirings and improved gas mileage. There has been a lot of work done on engines themselves, and it's pretty amazing how people can do this stuff and test out these cars. And that about wraps it up for what I have to talk about. I would just say keep in mind about your car and its engine, and probably learn a few new things about it just for future reference if anything was to happen, such as oil. Changing your own oil can do a lot, or spark plugs can help a lot with torque and things like that, so you don't get cheated out with your money from mechanics that could say the wrong thing. There are a few that will tell you stuff that isn't wrong, but will tell you that is wrong, basically. And thank you for watching.